Hey, how's it going, guys? Today I'm going to be replacing a thermostat in a 2003 BMW 330i. It's pretty much the same almost for, I'm pretty sure, all the 3 Series. You know, they still have like the same engine, so it's going to be the same process of removing what you got to do. And all you have to do to start with this is remove these clips right here, and this little tube right here will come off once this comes up. Right now I got it loose right now. You got to take this cover off, you got to take the fan off, so you need a certain tool that you can get online. I got this on Amazon for about $25 I think max after shipping, and I'm replacing the thermostat. So I bought one of these online. I think this is probably about 70 bucks. You get the whole assembly. It's got the thermostat already in it, just comes as one assembly. You're gonna need, maybe a flashlight. I got pliers, a couple different sockets. Put that right there. A little like mirror, to look at some angles and stuff. Also, you're gonna need coolant, something to catch that coolant. And that's probably about it. Probably like a pick or a little flathead screwdriver. You might have to take some like connector clips off. To get the fan shroud screws off, you're gonna need a T20 Torx. There's one there and another one right here. And then I think there's like a couple clips and connectors that gotta come off. It's like this one. Gotta take off the skid plate. It's 4 screws, one there, and right there. And then the whole skid plate comes off. The coolant drain plug's right there. It's just a Phillips head, pretty big one. Just make sure you don't strip it out. So I got the coolant draining right now. Gonna pull this hose off, break the fan shroud loose. This is already ready to come off, and then we can start the thermostat. So to break the fan clutch loose, you need the tool down right behind in here like that. And then for this tool, you put it on the front side of it like that. And you're gonna break it loose this way, and it's gonna spin off counterclockwise. So you need both of these on at the same time. It's just really hard to get them both in there and record it at the same time to show you. But when it's loose, you'll know when it's loose because you'll start seeing the threads, and you just spin it off like this. I'm trying to focus right there. You just spin it off counterclockwise, and you could see that when you're spinning it off that it comes right off the threads, and there's no resistance too. You'll know when you break it loose because when you're trying to spin it by hand, there's more resistance than there is when it's broken loose. So just look for that when you break it loose, and you'll know too. I got the shroud and the fan clutch off. It all just kind of falls out. Like once you spin that off, this is already loose, so the whole assembly just falls kind of right out right when you take the fan clutch off. So now that I got that off, I can work on getting the thermostat out. And I've noticed that my wires are exposed because my cover right here is just becoming brittle. Look at that, it's just breaking away. That's what a lot of BMW parts do. It literally just deteriorated the whole way. Like if I touch this whole thing will just like break into pieces. That's why I have all these pieces down there, and you could see right here that they just got weak over time and fell apart. But for these little BMW likes to use these certain type of like disconnects like these, and then the easiest way that I found is to just use a pick. You just put it in right there like that, and then it comes right out. These aren't really that hard. It's just sometimes they're in a crappy spot, and a pick's the easiest thing to shove in there. Right here you could kind of use a flathead or anything else, but I just been using this. So I got the thermostat out. It wasn't too bad. Just you gotta take off the lower one and the upper one. But the bolts are one's right here, one's down there, right there, and another one is right here. The only difference is these 3 bolts right here, they're all the same size. They're all 10 mils, but the one over here was a 13. It's probably just because of for the cherry picker, if you were to pull the motor out, the bolt or the nut is a lot thicker, and it goes down to right here. So that's why it uses a different size bolt. No worries though, just a 13. But here it is right here. And then there's a connector on top too, you know, because they have sensors for everything. So you also have to take that off. I'm gonna try to replace this if I have any extra lying around to cover this up, because definitely don't want to have this many wires exposed like this. So I'm gonna find something to cover this up just so it's not exposed anymore. There's no like gasket on there. I'm gonna go and clean that just a little bit. It doesn't look too bad honestly, but you just don't want to double gasket it if there is one, you know, somehow still on there. But here's the old one, here's the new one. Just before you put in, just compare them, make sure they look the same. So I found some old electrical covers that I had from, I think probably when I did a stereo install or something, or some battery cables. So I just went ahead and cut a little bit and ran it through. It actually didn't come out too bad. I mean, I just had it laying around, so that's how I made it look like that. And I'm gonna do another one over here. All right, so I got all the bolts tightened. I just went in a crisscross pattern back and forth so I could seat it in there well. And now with these, these are really easy to pop on. You just have to push it back over like that. And then that clip right there, you just push back in, then it's not going nowhere. This back in, I put both of them in together. Like, I got this about halfway in, and then I stuck the fan straight through, because these kind of have to go in at the same time, because there's like no way you can fit that in there with this in the way. So you have to put both in about the same time. You could kind of work this one in first, the plastic, so you could see where it's gonna sit. And then once you get about a little bit in, then you gotta shove the fan in. And then it's not that hard to set it in, honestly. You just there's these notches down there that the plastic sits on, and you'll know when it's in place, because all these notches are over where they need to be and everything's lined up. And threading the fan back on isn't too bad. You just kind of have to find the sweet spot and go clockwise instead of counterclockwise. And then it'll thread right on there, and then you could just spin it like this, and you could see, if I could get it to focus, you see those threads right there? As you turn it the other way, it's spinning back on. So you just want to get the fan all the way back on until it bottoms out, and then that's when we're gonna tighten it up with the tool again. And it's pretty much the reverse procedure of putting it back in. You just want to get it nice and tight. You just put it on by hand first, and then you use the tool to snug it up. So right here, I'm starting to feel some resistance. So we're coming to the end of the threads, like that. And now we can tighten it up. So when bleeding the air out, you gotta open up the bleeder screw and then add the coolant to it. And then it'll come out spewing out of there, allowing all the air to escape. And then once it's a steady stream, you can start up the car, add more fluid if it needs it, and all the air will come out through here, and it'll be a steady stream of coolant. So I've been driving it around for a little bit. I took it around the block a couple times, did a little test drive. The temps are normal. The car heats up really good now. Like, this car was like at a operating temperature probably in like under 5 minutes at least. But before, it wouldn't even be at, you know, operating temperature for like 15 minutes. So it's definitely fixed, you know, back to normal. No more check engine light anymore. So that's good. It just went away on its own. But yeah, everything's running good. It seems to run a little bit better now too. Before, it was really like hesitating and stuff when I would, you know, accelerate. It was like super cold, even though like I've been driving it for like 20 minutes. So, you know, it just wasn't running right. But yeah, everything's back to normal. I got another thing coming up on this car soon. Like, I need to get this thing in here just so it looks better and stuff. Put the trim pieces back. But that's all I've done so far to this car. I did an oil change recently, and what was it, a air filter? But other than that, I've just, you know, been my daily. But stay tuned. I have more videos on the Miata coming up soon.